How are you?
I'm very well. Oh, it's sunny after all.
Yeah, finally, you know, we are lucky. We are lucky. It just came like 30 minutes ago.
Wow, we are lucky.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
That's awesome. Now I hope we get reception in the vineyard.
Yes, I hope so. But it's gonna work. No worries. Nothing can happen. Nothing better can happen. Everything's all right.
Well, I always, you're very high up, so it's like holding your camera, your phone high in the air.
Yeah. And we have the main how do you call that? For the connection, we have this kind of big reception stuff, which is not far from here. So it's better to be here than in the house. Definitely.
Oh, excellent. Excellent.
But
I'm so happy.
Just worried about the weather. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm very happy. There's a little delay of when I speak and when you hear, so I'm just going to pause after I speak and let you talk.
All right. I will try to be careful about that.
It's okay on my end, but if for you, I can hear the feedback.
That's fine. That's fine for me. Thank you very much.
Sure. So you tell me when you're ready to start. You're good?
Yeah.
You're ready?
I'm fine. Thank you.
Okay.
Let's go.
And just, I think you already saw this, but you can flip the camera into selfie mode and out to show that, there we go. The background is amazing.
Here you can, I don't know if you can see because the sunlight is really.
Yeah, we can see.
I just tried on the, I'm very bad with this technology. Sorry for that.
That's exactly it. Oh my gosh. Wow.
So you can see here.
Wow.
All the Pyrenees mountains. And they go all around us. Just right there, you can see. There's just a wire on it, but you have one of the highest mountain of the area, which is called that we call Jean-Pierre in French, is it? But it's just a nickname. It's the Pic d'Ossau.
The Pic d'Ossau. When I lived in Po, I could see it from my living room.
Absolutely, this is one of the biggest pride of the area. And
Awesome.
voila. But now we have no snow anymore because we had actually almost no snow for the whole winter in the highest part of the area. But that's fine.
Wow.
Right. So let's have a look at the grapes. Because everything is about, but I guess it's almost the same everywhere in Europe. Everything is really in advance this year, about 1 month. So here we have some, we have some Petit Mansin. I don't know if you can see properly.
Yeah.
So everything is already very, very, very high for the season. We have, as you can see, we have quite a lot of grapes already. Can you see properly or not?
Yeah.
Voila. So we have all this and, so we work hard. That's one of the good, if we have to see one good point, sorry, I just shifted. Right. If you have just one good point with this lockdown period, it's that, we have time to really take care very, very properly, even better than usually, to the vines. So that's cool. We are the happiest people in the world. We live in a wonderful place, working in a wonderful vineyard, and we can stay outside all day long without any risk. That's luxury.
Well, that's why I started this project. I live in New York City, and many of my friends are stuck inside in their studio apartments. And to see the sunshine and the vines, and also the vineyard is very optimistic.
It is indeed.
So, Julien, can you start by introducing yourself and what your role is at Domaine de Souch?
So I work here for about 2 years now, and I'm here to, we are 3 people working in the vineyard. So the vineyard is altogether 6.8 hectares, which were planted in 1985 by Madame Egoburu. And everything was made organically from the very beginning, which was at this time something quite crazy because, even other places in France, very few people heard about organic and biodynamic agriculture. But Madame Egoburu has a kind of good flair and also very good advices, obviously. And she started that, so in 1985. So now she's retired. We're going to celebrate her 93 years old next month.
Wow.
And now we are 3 working. So I'm mainly in charge for the commercial part, let's say.
I see.
But also working in the vineyard when it's necessary, which means like maybe 8 months a year.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, my colleague Emmanuel, that you probably met before, Emmanuel is in charge of all the rest, which means also, of course, in the vineyard, but he's also in charge of the vinification and.
Okay.
And we have to take care also of this big house in the garden, which is cool.
Yeah, the house is super cool too.
Ah, yeah, fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
So you started to tell a little bit, but can you tell the story of Madame and the Domaine?
Ouais. So Madame Egoburu and her husband, Mr. Egoburu, they used to live and work around Bordeaux. So Mr. Egoburu, as the name said, is originally from the Pays Basque. So, which is the neighbor area of Béarn, where we are here in the deep southwest of France. So they wanted to buy a house because Madame Egoburu is originally from here, this area in Béarn. So they saw this house, which was a ruin in the early 70s, and they totally fell in love with the place. And let me show you, because at this time, what you can see now, we have a kind of. I will try to catch a good.
I mean, it's gorgeous.
All of this you see, so you have things coming around like this, again, like a circus, like an arena for vines. But at this time when Madame and Mr. Egoburu bought the place, there was nothing here. It was just fields and woods, and you have maybe some animals, but totally wild. So the big chains, they didn't think to make the vineyard first. It was they just wanted to buy this house for a holiday house.
Oh.
And little by little, so they came more often and more often. And the idea was to come and get retired in this wonderful place. Unfortunately, Mr. Egoburu passed away after a terrible sickness, and it was in 1985. So at this time, Madame Egoburu was 60 years old. So she made maybe something like 30 different jobs in her life, but nothing to see with the wine production. She never touched that before, never ever. So she was very, very sad to be a widow so suddenly, and she loved her husband so much that finally, we don't know exactly what happened, but she stayed. It's not a bad jeu de mots, a bad game of words, but she stayed locked down for 6 months in her house because she was so sad. And she didn't know what to do for her future. So no one heard about her for 6 months. And we don't know what happened exactly, really not. But after 6 months and one day, she just woke up one morning and said, you cannot stay like that. You cannot stay in this bad state. You have to plant a vineyard. Again, we don't know how it came to her mind, but it came for sure. So she explained that to different people, local winemakers she knew and other people. And finally, those guys were great advisors, say, okay, you have to do it at this place because the soil and subsoil, sun exposition is wonderful. So you have to do that, but do it organically. So why did they say did it organically at this time? It's because one of the great privileges we have here is that all around the vineyard, we are surrounded by woods. We have no neighbors, no agriculture, nothing. So it cannot be, the soil cannot be purer than it is here. Definitely not.
Yeah. So
that's a great privilege. So that's how it started. So Madame Egoburu worked from this. So the first vintage she produced was 1989. This time she was just producing one sweet wine. Then little by little she planted all this vineyard, everything by hand. And now our job now is compared to what she did in the past, for us today is, let's say, pretty easy. We just are very careful to keep on going. It's we have a big legacy between our little hands. So we just want to be good enough to be sorry, I don't get the word in English, but to be d'être digne de cela. Sorry, I don't get the whole word in English.
That's okay, but she's amazing. I love the story I learned many years ago about her, and it took me a few years to get over there, but she was resting when I came, so I didn't get to meet her.
Yeah, now she stopped working in 2014. So 6 years ago, And now her son, Jean-René, who is he's a lawyer in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
So he just, he just took the legacy of her mother, but he's not living here. So he just tell us. I mean, the deal is pretty simple. Keep on going what she started.
Yeah.
That's the revolution in our place. Generally, in time of revolution, people change everything. Here, we touch nothing.
It's incredible.
Like
the vision she had is just incredible.
Everybody coming here. I mean, even us, obviously, as we are working here, we know how much privilege we are. But we see also all the people coming around, and even Madame Egoburu's friend, and so. I mean, this place makes the people happy. We don't know why. It's like that.
Yeah. No, there's a magic when you're up there. It's gorgeous. So, what is your altitude?
350 meters.
350 meters. Okay, so 1,000 feet or so. And
yeah,
can you give people...
it's for the highest part. That's you know where I am presently. It's probably more like 300. And when you are down here, you know, just down the hill, it's much more like 150.
So, all those trees are just forest, right? It's not an orchard or anything. It's just all forest.
Pardon me?
The trees that we're seeing in the background is just all forest and wild.
Yes. Yes.
So, can you give people an overview of Jurancon wine in general?
Jurancon is a pretty small appellation, quite unknown even in France, to be honest. For one very simple reason, that is, I mean, we don't produce red wines. So, and we produce mainly sweet wines. And now, for the people who really love sweet wines, they know that it's a complicated market by the days. Yeah. So, but this appellation is always, you know, this place that I was speaking about before, that we call Béarn. It's a very, very old country in France, where people used to live, you know, in small places with mountains around, and they don't really care. They didn't really care about what was happening outside. So all those people have for these reasons, have a very strong culture, and they really want to defend it. And one of the best ways they have to do it is with food and wine. So the appellation of Jurançon is, again, very small, but the particularity is that 60%, let's say 60% of the grapes produced here are vinified by a cooperative cellar, which is huge. Thousands and even millions and millions of bottles a year. It's huge, which is not exactly, you know, a very good publicity for us. But the good point is that next to this, we are about, let's say, 50 to 60 independent winemakers. And really, it's, you know, I traveled quite a lot in different wine countries all over France and Europe. And I very rarely saw people that much taking care of each other. And everybody is really running on the same way. And that's very important because, you know, again, we can help each other because wines are pretty difficult to be sold. Now it's changing a little bit because, as I was telling you, originally Jurançon was strictly made for the sweet wines. But some people realized a few years ago that we have actually very good terroir for dry as well. And today, you know, we have about half of the production on dry, not in Domaine de Souch. We are largely on the sweets. But for the whole appellation of Jurançon, for the independent winemakers, we make half dry and half of sweets, because the dries are really good for the market. And this is, to me, I'm not objective, clearly not, but this is, to me, the dry white of this area are clearly one of the best value for money all over France.
Oh yeah, very
for one
good.
Simple reason, because, you know, the local people drink a lot and they drink the local wines. And again, it's an old, you know, it's old people, old culture. So if you try to explain to these people that yesterday they used to pay their wine 15 euros and after tomorrow they're going to have to pay it the double, it doesn't work. So that's something which is really good for the whole market and for the producers too, because people want quality and we still want, I mean, we all want good, I mean, decent prices. We are very far from different regions. I mean, we don't know what the word auctions, and so what does it mean exactly in this area? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Can I ask about, because people know the Basque country here in America, but they don't know Béarn. But we do know the sauce Béarnaise sauce. So people maybe don't realize it comes from there. Can you talk about the region in general and the food?
It doesn't indeed. Béarnaise, it's called sauce Béarnaise, but it was called like that by a cooker in Paris for the king.
Okay.
And it was a mistake, so nobody knows, but
That's so funny.
It is indeed, because it has nothing Béarnaise, nothing special coming from here. We have some specialty about food, a lot. You know, this is a big country for meat, and especially pork.
Mm-hmm.
And we have tons. And here, for example, in the village of Larouen, which is a tiny village, it's a bit less than 1,000 people living there. But we have a fantastic guy which make butcheries and delicacies. Mm-hmm. Everything is homemade, and it's just beautiful. So every time when we have some people coming here for, you know, for dinner or lunch, yeah, we always give them the local food. We have obviously some cheese from the Pyrenees as well. Mm-hmm. We have the chilies. Alors, the particularity, you have the chilies from Pays Basque, which is called Piment d'Espelette, mm-hmm. which is pretty popular. But here we have the kind of chilies we have, we smoke it. Mm-hmm. So it's a bit stronger, but that's really cool too. That's really good, really good.
Yeah.
And after that, we have a lot of vegetables. You know, that's one of the good points. Actually, this situation of lockdown for mm-hmm. people in the countryside, actually here it didn't change a lot, because we used to have this what is very trendy now, to have this kind of short distance. I don't know what's the proper expression for that. Sorry again, but just to buy the food next to the producer. We do that all year long, and we just buy the food that we can have according to the seasons. That's a big luxury.
Yeah, for sure.
So we have a lot of vegetables, but people here, we love to eat fat. We love to eat fat, and dog fat mainly.
Can I ask you to show the view again to some people who have joined, and can you talk about the grapes that you grow?
Yeah, and just let me introduce you. Please come, Madame Egoburus bodyguard. Come here. Can you see him? Come.
Yes, awesome. What's his name?
Lilou. Alors, let me show you again.
I saw him in August when I was there.
Yeah. Voilà. And I don't know if you can get the sound, but this is so quiet. We just have some little bugs singing very softly. That will be cool, because after that we'll be able to go to work one hour or two in the vineyard under the sun.
Julien, it's sideways. There we go. Back there. There we go.
All right.
So what are the grapes that you grow?
We grow mainly Petit Mancinq.
Okay.
After we have a little part in the vineyard, which will be Gros Mancinq. Mm-hmm. And after that we have a tiny, it's just next to here, we have a tiny quantity of what we call Petit Courbu, which is a local grape variety that we use only for the dry white. For the two other ones, Gros and Petit Mancinq, we'll use it for sweet or dry.
Okay. And how do you make your sweet wine?
We wait.
Is it late harvest or botrytis, or how does it come?
No, botrytis is something which is, as you probably know, very common in Sauternes and different regions of France. On those grape varieties here, if we have botrytis, it's a disaster. So we just wait. We just make what we call the passerillage.
Okay. Yeah.
So so passerillage will be like grapes will be dried by over maturity. Mm-hmm. So I'm just working on the plot from which one what we consider as our best plot, mm-hmm. which is making the wine Marie-Cataline, which is not actually. So it's, to answer to your first question, it's dried by over maturity, okay. But it's not considered as late harvest.
I see.
For late harvest, we have a wine of late harvest, but we don't produce it every year. We produce it maybe twice or three times per decade. Late harvest must have a higher level of sugar, and we love the balance of Marie-Cataline, which is already 95 grams per liter of residual sugar, which is a beautiful baby. Wow. And for the late harvest, we need to have minimum 110, 115 grams per liter.
Mm-hmm. I see.
So,
and for Passeira, do you?
Pardon me?
For Passage, do you wait and pick a whole cluster or grape by grape?
No, all cluster, the whole cluster.
Okay.
Voilà. So let me show you this plot, which is really a treasure for us. Là. So it's 1.2 hectares, to be very precise.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So why this is the only plot that we make separately. It's very trendy today. Everybody wants.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm losing you a little bit there now. So while he froze up, Becky Sue, I saw your question. I'll ask him what they drink that with. Around a bit, but I'm happy to see the, okay, we lost him, he'll be back. So he's walking around a bit to show us that, and I want to ask him what direction we're facing, but I got to tell you, it's just gorgeous there. I went to college in Pau in Southwest France for a year, and Jurancon is about 15 minutes away, and they make sweet wine, and they make dry wine too, and it's very inexpensive, a little bit hard to find, but in that part of France, you have the different little countries like Pays Basque and Pays Béarn. And he's in the Pays Béarn. There we go.
Sorry for that.
No worries.
So yeah, I was telling you that this plot has different specificities, which are good enough for us to make a special wine just from here every year.
Uh-huh.
So the first point is that this is the place where the slope is the steepest in the estate. That's one point. The second point is that all the rest where we met first when we connected 10 minutes ago, this is southwest mainly. Here this plot is strictly on the south, so it's quite warmer. And the last particularity is the soil and subsoil. We have something quite unique just for the appellation Jurancon, but we have red clays.
Ah.
So red clays are very concentrated at this part of the estate, which means that the soil is so poor. But if you combine all those factors, finally it makes something which will give naturally a wonderful concentration in the grapes.
I see. Huh.
So that's why. So we're gonna wait. So to come back on what you were telling before. Yeah. Actually, we're gonna wait. Generally, we're gonna pick it up. Allez, let's say at the minimum at the end of October. Just for this cuvée Marie-Cataline, end of October, and it can go until sometimes December.
Wow.
We have what we call here in Patois, what we call le Ben Balaguer. So Ben Balaguer is it's a wind coming from Spain. Not exactly from Spain, from Africa, and it's a very warm wind coming at the end of the summer. And we have here, you cannot believe how beautiful are the Indian summers, indeed. So because we are pretty high, let me show you. Hoping this time it's going to work properly. You see, so I am on the very top of what makes Marie-Cataline. So as you can see, we are just front of the Pyrenees. So we take the wind directly in our nose. So the good point is that, as you can see, the vines rows are quite large. You have a lot of space between each other. So you have this wind coming every year, and which will dry, because at this time of the year we have very rarely rain. So we cannot have moistures. And even if it's a little bit wet in the morning, the wind will dry it in 30 minutes. The other point is that the grape variety Petit Mansin, which is here for 100% in this cuvée, Petit Mansin has a very, very thick skin. So for this reason, you cannot get moisture. We used to say that, even when the Petit Mansin is overripe, you can take it and throw it on the floor. It's like a ball. It will never break, never. So that's the reason why we can wait that far. And you know, some people, one or two producers, yes, sometimes they can pick it up on January, the Petit Mont 5. So if it's actually about the same system than the ice wine, at the difference that we don't have ice here, but yeah, because
That's
we have this skin again, we have very low level of alcohols and a lot of, and aromatically speaking, it's like boom, huge.
And I just want to remind people that if the bottle says Jurancon, meaning the simple Jurancon, that is sweet. If the dry wine, it's going to say Jurancon sec.
Absolument, absolument, monsieur.
And what
the appellation Jurancon. Pardon me.
What do you eat with the Jurancon? What pairs with it in that region?
What pairs?
With the Jurancon.
Well, the people, they drink it as an aperitif for itself most of the time. And after that, traditionally people used to do that, but it's not only here, it's all over France. Yeah. And I guess all over the world, they do that with foie gras, which I never understood. To me, it's a crime, because people used to give that as a starter. And you give as a starter something very rich with something very rich. So for me, it's the best way to go, and after that, you just need a nap. So the point is, when you have this kind of big meals, you need to be in shape from the beginning to the end. So for me, the dry, for example, the dry Jurancon with foie gras is fantastic.
Yeah. And
after that, you can keep on going with reds and different wines. But if you start with something sweet, for me, it's gonna stick your mouth and your palate. And after that, it's gonna be difficult. We just found one very good way with a friend of mine. Is just to rinse your palate after the sweet wine as a starter. You rinse it with a good bottle of champagne. That's fine. But if not, it doesn't work.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you go fairly soon, because I'm trying to keep them at a half an hour, and I have loved talking to you and seeing where you are. It's just stunning.
That was very kind of you. That was very kind of you, sir. Thank you so much.
So everything is good up there? You're in the country and people are spread out, so life hasn't changed too much under the corona?
Everything's fine. Everything's so fine for us, really. Fine. As fine as it can be, but it's like for everybody difficult to don't see friends and families. But it's not gonna last that long now. Yeah. The harder is before us, definitely. But everything is fine, and I hope it's the same for all of you.
Thank you very much. It's really great to see you. Thank you for showing us the view.
My pleasure. Thanks to you.
Give best wishes to Madame.
Well, let's keep in touch. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.